name is Zach Cook. I am the co-founder and CEO of Quasm. Today, we'll be talking a little bit about Appchain Rollups. So first, we'll talk about what is an Appchain, how they work, what are the different types, and why would ever need one. A little bit of background on myself. Like I said, the co-founder and CEO of Quasm. I've been a software engineer for 5 years. In doing so, I was a team lead on a US patent processing system, and since 2016, I've been studying, building, and investing in blockchain technologies. So what exactly is an Appchain? Well, an Appchain is a specialized blockchain dedicated for one or a few applications. Developers can deploy these Appchains, then they can deploy their smart contracts or their decentralized application onto an Appchain, and users can interact with it no different than any other blockchain. So how exactly do these Appchains work? So like I said, no different than any other blockchain. A user can submit their transactions, and after the transactions themselves are executed inside a block, those transactions in that block is rolled up onto the settlement layer through a process called state settlement and the data availability processes. After some time, finality is achieved and the state of the Appchain is secured. At kind of a higher level, I like to draw an analogy to a zip file. So imagine like a zip file. You put a bunch of different files into a zip file, and you can take that, compress it down, gigabytes to megabytes, et cetera, et cetera. You can take that and then send it to somebody via email or other, kind of file transfer methods. And blockchain rollups are kind of, and Appchains themselves are very, very similar. It's not necessarily a zip file, but you can think of the process of, taking 10, 15, 20, in number of transactions, compressing them down into one transaction that is then settled onto the base layer, the parent layer, such as Ethereum, or even in some cases, Bitcoin. In doing so, this provides extra transaction throughput and a lot of other benefits that we'll talk about here shortly. So what exactly are the different types of Appchains? We have many different flavors, many different frameworks. Similar to how we have many different blockchains, we have different technology stacks of Appchains. So we have two main kind of types. We have zero knowledge or validity rollups. We have optimistic rollups. So in the zero knowledge validity proof Appchain frameworks, we have Madara, a Starknet stack. We have ZK Sync stack, which is a ZK EVM, as well as Scroll, also a ZK EVM, and then Aztec, which provides additional layers of security. On the optimistic side, we have some EVM compatible Arbitrum Nitro and Optimism Bedrock. Now, both of these types of Appchain frameworks where we have that rely on validity proofs versus fraud proofs use different technologies of securing. They have their own trade-offs and benefits, and that's kind of up to the user or the developer to decide which stack you want to go with. So why exactly would I ever need an Appchain? Why not just deploy my smart contracts, my application onto Ethereum? Well, as we know, Ethereum, Bitcoin, some of the layer ones themselves, and even layer 2 blockchains, can have higher transaction costs, can have higher transaction wait times, and it all kind of hurts the user experience. So with an Appchain, you can deploy and get faster transaction time. You can get lower gas fees. You can get different customized transaction execution parameters to really customize how each block is executed. Certain transaction can be executed before the block starts, at the beginning of the start of the block, or even at the end of the block. So some different execution parameters. Additionally, you can even deploy your own gas token on this. So imagine you deploy your own token onto Ethereum. This token can then be bridged from Ethereum being layer 1 to let's say your Appchain on layer 2 or layer 3, and it can be bridged and used as the token that you pay the transaction fee in. So having these sort of private, if you will, or individualized Appchains for one application, we can really start to realize the potential of blockchain technology, where we can build real-world applications on top of this. We can merge traditional Web 2 with Web 3. And so it provides this kind of layer where we can actually start to build real applications with low transaction costs and allow users to interact with it without having to pay a lot of money to do so, and have a really solid user experience. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about some industry examples right now that are emerging. I see this kind of as a trend. We'll start to see more businesses, more Web 2, traditional Web 2 style companies, banks, et cetera, starting to deploy their own Appchain rollups. First example of this is Deutsche Bank. They announced this, I think, about a month ago, is when they made this announcement that they were going to be building on the ZK Sync stack technology, so a ZK or validity rollup. And they don't have too much information on exactly what they're going to be doing, but they're aiming to address some certain regulatory compliance issues, interacting on Ethereum or other public blockchains. Additionally, we see, kind of in the traditional Web3 space, Unichain, which is the chain dedicated for Uniswap, which is a decentralized exchange that allows you to trade tokens directly on top of Ethereum without having to wait for or rely upon a traditional kind of Web2 exchange, if you will, with different counterparties and et cetera, et cetera. And then finally, we have Coinbase or Base, the layer 2 blockchain. It's not necessarily an app chain, however, it is a rollup and still kind of illustrates the capabilities of this Appchain Rollup technology, which in this case, many applications are deployed onto the Base rollup, but it still follows the process of, optimistic rollup, rolling up the transactions, posting that to the layer 1 or the parent chain, Ethereum in this case, and there's some validation to ensure that the Base chain is operating correctly, functionally, and securely. So let's talk a little bit about Quasm, what we are doing at Quasm, and how that kind of applies to the Appchain landscape. So we are building an infrastructure provider so that you as the developer or anyone who would like to deploy their own Appchain can do so with a few clicks. You can come to our interface, customize, choose the framework that you want to build your Appchain with, and then deploy your Appchain. As long as some additional complementary services, block explorers, bridges, et cetera, et cetera. And so that is all done through our platform. We launch, we host, we deploy, we manage, we keep the uptime, keep everything secure, and that is exactly what we're doing with Quasm. In summary, what is an Appchain? Again, an Appchain is kind of like a private blockchain, if you will. It's not necessarily, it can be open, it can be public, but it can also be run private. It's an individual blockchain where you deploy one or a few applications. This provides additional scale, security, and specific control over the Appchain. And finally, Quasm Infra is going to be hosting those for the developer, for the user, et cetera, et cetera. We'll be launching our platform here pretty soon, so you can head over to quasm.io and join our waitlist. This concludes the video. Thank you for listening.